Blog Talk Radio.
Start by saying, this is not a ploy for sympathy. Sympathy won't change anything. And I know you may have heard of lupus, but are you aware of it? I wanted to share my day with you because sometimes the lupus talk can be overwhelming. Or perhaps it's hard to picture what it's like. This is my day with lupus. It will be different than many other lupus survivors, as the true gem of this disease is that it will attack us all differently. It all started so simply. I am going to run an errand. I know I won't be gone long, so I don't take the necessary precautions. I will go over those momentarily. Put on a T-shirt and pants, throw my hair up in a hat, and I'm off. Unfortunately, I got stuck in a traffic jam for 30 minutes, and it's like 86 degrees outside. The sun is beaming down. For most people, that's not a horrible thing, but I have lupus, and everything is different for me. In 30 minutes, I have severe sunburn. My face blisters. My skin is hot to the touch, not because the wind isn't blowing, but because lupus has destroyed my body's ability to cool itself. I never sweat. For those of you that don't realize it, when you cannot cool your skin, it can be very damaging. By the time I get to my errand, I am physically ill. I have to run to the bathroom. I can't seem to stop getting sick. By the time I get home, my skin is burning, my face swollen and blistered. It hurts to open and close my eyes because lupus often comes with other autoimmune diseases, so I also have Sjogren's disorder. Sjogren's tends to dry out my eyes, causing them to swell, and often they turn black and blue. I run into the bathroom after getting sick once again. I tear off my clothes so I can take a cool shower. I must cool down my skin. As I told you earlier, lupus attacks us all differently. Severe sun damage can do more than sunburn and blisters. It has previously caused my organs to shut down. I have gone into a coma. I have had several strokes. I want you to be aware. Lupus is more than a purple ribbon. Lupus is more than a spoon theory. Lupus is more than a word. Lupus, for 1.5 million people in the U.S. alone, is a way of life. Up to 15% of lupus patients will die from this disease. But what that really means is that up to 225,000 lupus patients in the U.S. will die. That is 750,000 people worldwide. While lupus patients are 90% women, it is usually more severe in men. Lupus tends to show up more in minorities, but can affect all. Just hear about lupus. Be aware. Be aware that when he or she says they are tired or in pain, it's real. I was raised in a deeply spiritual home. I was taught to be thankful for every moment. But I will tell you, lupus made me aware. I am aware that my day can change in a moment's notice. I was in a coma for 2.5 months. That does something to you. I am thankful for every day that there is more normality than there was in the last day. My kidneys and liver have shut down. My lungs have developed blood clots. Yet I am thankful. I am still here. So today, I wanted to share a day in my life for what you have and be aware that some of us have it a little bit harder than you may realize. The whole purpose of our show tonight is not only to create awareness for those people that don't know a lot about lupus, but to help those people that love us, the ones that are there for us all the time, the ones that have difficulty maybe understanding why we decided we were going to go to the mall tonight, but at the end of this day, there's no way I'm going to be able to go to the mall tonight. And it's not because I didn't want to go, and it's not because I wanted to let you down or didn't want to spend time with you, but it was just that whenever you have lupus, every moment counts. Every moment. You take nothing for granted. You have to plan out your day. You have to understand that you get a certain set amount of energy a day, and you have to use it wisely. Now, luckily for me, I haven't been in what they call a flare in a while. I haven't. I'm not currently taking any medication for lupus. That was by my choice. That was a choice. Some people have to take lots and lots of medication. It's difficult. The pain can be overbearing. It's there are so many things that can go wrong. When I was initially diagnosed with lupus, the only thing that I knew was I had heard that word before. I didn't know anything about it. I was diagnosed in 2001 with lupus, and I was given very little information. I had gone into the emergency room because my face had gotten swollen. It was burning. It burned to touch. It hurt if my hair touched it. So I go to the emergency room, and the doctor says, do you have lupus? And I said, no. So he says, well, let's run some tests, and let's just see what's going on. He eventually comes back and says, it's not a question of whether you do or don't have it. It's a question of how severe is it. Now, that was the only thing that he left me with that day, was telling me maybe I should read up on lupus and that I should avoid the sun. Well, I took it with a grain of salt. I didn't take it as seriously as I should have at all. And later on that summer, I certainly did go sit out right by that pool while my daughter was swimming, and I got third-degree burns after sitting out in the sun for 30 minutes. It was a domino effect. It just seemed like everything that possibly could go wrong was going wrong. You have to have a team of support around you when you're suffering with an autoimmune disease. There are going to be people that don't understand. They don't understand how difficult it is to deal with this disorder. They don't understand how you don't want to have to deal with this disorder, and they just see you. You're laying, you're sleeping, right? Don't you want to do anything today? Of course, I want to do a lot today, but I'm probably not going to get it all done. And like I said, as long as I'm not in a flare, I'm fine. I can go and do whatever it is that I need to get done. But when a flare hits, it's like lupus is the closest thing that I could compare it to is like having the flu every single day. You know, that achy feeling your body gets where you really don't want to get out of bed. You just want to cover up with the covers or take a long hot bath. The achy muscle feeling that you get, and that's what it's like for me. It's traumatic for most people. So tonight what we're trying to do is we're trying to raise awareness so that the people that love us, the ones that support us, understand that, number one, we appreciate you, and we love, care, and concern you take with us. But number two, we want you to understand also that this is not a choice. We're not choosing to be sick. And hopefully by raising awareness, we'll be able to, slide our hands within one another and hold each other close and just say, this is a battle that we don't have to go through by ourselves. But keep in mind, it is a battle. We want to hear what you have to say tonight. Our phone lines are open. at 646-564-9708, talking about lupus and lupus awareness. The most important thing I think I could possibly say to you tonight is that lupus is not like and is not related to cancer or HIV. It is not contagious. You cannot get lupus by being close to, being loved with a person that has lupus. You cannot get it in that way. It's not contagious at all. We appreciate your understanding. We appreciate your love. If you have any questions or concerns and don't feel like calling in with us tonight, please contact us on Twitter. You can follow us at lightrays and the number 1. You can also contact us on Facebook under the name L.M. Young. And we also have a group there called My Rays of Light Radio. We would love to hear from you. We're going to take a brief commercial break, and we'll be back in just a minute. Thank you.
A picture is worth 1,000 words. A portrait is priceless. This Father's Day, give him something that he will treasure for years to come. Thou Art, in conjunction with My Rays of Light, is offering an 11 by 14 canvas portrait of your loved ones for only $40. Make every moment count and allow Thou Art to help you. Feel free to contact us at myraysoflight@hotmail.com or at www.myraysoflight.com for more information.
To the My Rays of Light radio show. I'm your host, L.M. Young. Tonight we're talking about lupus and how it affects us, our families, all of those that care about us, as well as trying to spread awareness to those in the viewing audience or the listening audience that are unaware of what lupus does and how it affects us. We have Marla on the phone. Marla, are you there?
Hi, yes, I am.
Hi, how are you tonight?
I'm hanging in there, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I wanted to thank you for calling in. So you have lupus yourself?
Yes, I was diagnosed in 2001, but I believe I've always had it since I was always sick as a child, running fevers for no apparent reason. Just from being out in the sun in the summertime. My mom would have to rush me to the emergency room that night with a very high fever, unexplained. They never knew what was wrong. In 2001, I got deadly sick where I couldn't walk, I couldn't use my legs, and I was sick for several years and in bed in excruciating pain. And the only way I can explain it to my parents was I felt like I was in constant labor after having a child, where the pain just was so excruciating and it would never go away. My whole body hurt so bad that my kids couldn't touch me, nobody could touch me. The air just breathing on me burnt my skin. It was awful. It was the darkest times of the disease I've had since then. And I was labeled with lupus, diagnosed with lupus, and I've been going through ups and downs with it. I just wanted to thank you for spreading awareness because there's not a lot of awareness about lupus out there. Therefore, we don't have the proper medications to help us get through our daily lives, and we don't have the funding drugs for us.
Right.
And I know they do have myths out there saying that more people have AIDS than lupus, when the fact is lupus strikes more people than AIDS, sickle cell anemia, cerebral palsy, multiple sclerosis, and cystic fibrosis combined. So a lot of people are affected with lupus, but it's not really a well-known disease out there. So
I think that it's not a big money maker. You know, I don't think that pharmaceutical companies and everybody, all the people that are actually, you know, the big businesses, lupus is not a big money maker, so you don't hear a lot about it like you do cancer or MS or,
correct.
You know.
I was once told, and because it is also an invisible disease, you don't look sick.
Mm-hmm.
And especially being on prednisone, you plump up a little, you look, you know, rosy in the cheeks, you look healthy. When now, in actuality, your body is fighting inside, and people can't see the pain that you're going through or the destruction that's going inside your body. So we get labeled, it is an invisible disease, and we get labeled as either lazy or hypochondriacs. I've heard, you know, people say that at least I don't have cancer. You know, I'd rather have cancer and get it removed, do the chemo, and have a start and a beginning, a start and an end, and know, okay, from this point on I'll get better. I'll go in remission. With lupus, you don't go in remission. You know, you have your good days, you have your bad days. You know, some days I feel energetic and I want to do things. The minute I get going and take a shower, I'm back in bed. You know, I don't have that energy. And the fatigue is very overwhelming. So I'm just, you know, glad that we're spreading the awareness and to get it out there.
I think it's important. I think it's important that people hear the stories. I think it's important that they understand that there are, and I've gotten that too, you don't look sick, but you look fine, you know, and it's because the battle that I have is inside of me. My body is attacking itself. You know, with certain diseases you will have, you know, they have a depleted immune system. That is not the problem with lupus. Lupus is not depleting your immune system. You have an active immune system. It just doesn't recognize itself.
Right.
So
in the beginning, you know, I went and researched and thought, okay, I need to boost up my immune system to help fight.
Right.
You know, but in the contrary, I was causing myself more damage because my immune system is already active. So I was taking those little shots from Costco to help boost your immune system, and I got really sick. And the doctor was like, no, you can't take those.
Right. And so that's the first thing people want. That's the first thing people want to tell you is to take something to boost your immune system. Then I have to explain to them. It's like taking bows and arrows away from people and giving them semi-automatic weapons. You don't need to boost your immune system because you're only making it more difficult for your body to survive it.
Right.
It's very difficult.
Right.
So what is your support system like? Do you have a lot of support?
Yes, I do. I have a great family. I've been on disability for the past 4 years, and without them, there's no way I would have been able to survive. I'm a single parent, and they've been great in helping me when I need help, you know, taking me to the hospital, staying with my kids when I have to be admitted. So they've been a wonderful support system for me, as well as my friends. In the beginning, I felt alone because I didn't know anybody else who was suffering like I was. And I couldn't really explain to my family what I was going through, and it hurt me to see them hurting for me. So I felt like I didn't want to tell them what I was going through all the way because I didn't want to hurt them. So I went online and I found several online groups. Lighthouse for Lupus Coast Group is an awesome group. They helped me learn a lot more about lupus and express myself how I was feeling and be okay with it because I wasn't okay with it. Growing up, I was raised by my father who was in the Marines. And our upbringing was 90% mental, 10% physical, so mind over matter. And yes, in the beginning when I was really sick, it helped get me through those days, but it doesn't help all the time. So in talking with these people, they helped me understand it's okay for me not to feel good. It's okay for me not to be able to get out of bed because I struggled with that a lot. I just wanted to get out and do and do and do. And I'd end up even sicker. I couldn't find my limits. So in talking with other people, I learned how to, learn my limits, how to accept the illness instead of, blaming and being the victim. So now what I do, I in turn help spread awareness. And I go to these lupus activities, and I want to start a lupus support group here in my town because there's not one locally. And just help other people get through what I went through, because it is very hard to do it alone. You can't do it alone. And I'm very grateful that I had my family and friends to support me to help get me to where I'm at today.
It's very important. It's really, that's a great thing that you have such a large support system, because when I've been on Facebook, I'm on Facebook a lot. When I'm on Facebook, and I belong to a few lupus groups too, and the biggest complaint I ever get is that my husband doesn't understand. Or my husband has left me. He has left me because it was too much for him. And so it's very important that we find support in that way, because it can be a difficult road to travel by yourself. I'm really glad that you have, I'm glad you have that support, because it's such a necessity whenever you're struggling with something as serious as lupus. And one of the fallbacks of the fact of this disease is that there's just not enough information that people have. It's out there, but sometimes you just have to dig for it.
Right.
I talk about lupus a lot, and this show is very, very important to us, to me and my family, because it's important that we let people know this is what's going on. This is, whatever it looks like to you, this is what it really is. I've had probably 4 or 5 strokes now.
Oh, wow.
My first stroke was in 2005, and I was in a coma for 2.5 months.
Wow.
And my liver shut down, my kidneys shut down. I had a feeding tube. It was pretty serious. And I've had many strokes or TIAs and other strokes after that, But I'm really thankful, because there really is no residual effect of my strokes. So, I feel like every struggle, everything that I have to go through is to help someone else, because it isn't affecting me in an adverse way. The strokes didn't do that to me. I'm very thankful for that. But I have a strong support system also, I have a strong family. They understand. They are constantly understanding. And that's what it requires. It requires compassion, empathy, understanding. And sometimes it's difficult for people, especially when they can't see what's wrong. When you have a cold, they know you don't feel good. Your nose is sniffly, or you have a fever.
Right.
You have a broken arm. You can see that obviously your arm is going to be hurting, and with lupus, it just isn't like that. They have to ask, how do you feel today? That's like the main thing people, how do you feel today? How do you feel? Or my husband would say, what hurts today? But he knows it's just going to be something.
But doesn't it get to a point where you're tired of complaining, because every day it is something new? It's always something that when they ask you, I even feel guilty complaining, that I'll just be, okay, I'm okay, or hanging in there. And, they do have a study out there that 85% of people will actually say they're okay when they're not, because they don't want to worry their families.
Exactly.
Or, people, it gets old.
And sometimes he'll say, so how are you feeling today? And I'll say to him, we're not going to ask that question today. We're just not going to talk. We're just not going to discuss it today. It's like, okay. Because it does. After a while, it's like, okay, look, I just hurt every day. It just hurts all the time. So, yeah.
Even my son will tell me, Mom, you hurt all the time. Some days the hurt is not as bad as other days. But yes, I do hurt all the time.
Yeah, it's a difficult road to travel. It's a difficult thing to have to go through, but it's something
the
that we
medicines don't
have
make
to do.
it. The medicines don't help either. I know when I first got sick with this flare 4 years ago, the drug was more harmful to me than the actual disease. And I was ending up in the hospital with pancreatitis. I couldn't eat for several months. I had a PICC line. I've had my battles with the drugs. And it's like, okay, pick your poison. Do you want to die from lupus or do you want to die from the drugs? And the drugs are just as harmful as the disease. So, it's a catch-22. You have to take them to stabilize yourself and get healthy, but then at the same time, it's doing more damage. Because now it's not this, it's your liver. Or now it's not your liver, it's your kidneys.
Right. And I actually had I had gone to the doctor, and they had said to me, what lupus medications are you taking? And I told them, I'm not taking any lupus medications. And they were like, why? I said, because the symptoms, the side effects of the drugs were worse for me than the actual symptoms of lupus. So I would rather just do it like this. This is just crazy to me. So I haven't been on any lupus medication for a while. Yeah. And it doesn't always make it easy, but it's a choice, and I think that we all have to make one. Either you want to take medication or you don't. We all have to do what's best for us.
Right. Well, I know I've changed my diet a lot and started, with fruits and vegetables and researching what helps inflammation, what helps for, detox my liver, what helps. And I went on that road and started juicing. And I can't say that it didn't help, but it helped me more so than what the drugs did. So, I'd rather do that than take the other drugs. That's where I'm at right now.
I don't blame you. Yeah, I think that changing your diet helps a lot. Helped me a lot. I mean, everything's natural. I'm really trying to go raw so that all of the vegetables and stuff are raw that we're eating so we can keep all the nutrients and stuff. But the research is very important. It's important that we know. And you'll find on Facebook that I'm constantly posting or sharing things about, nutrition and food and essential oils, everything natural that could possibly help, especially with the inflammation. Right, that can be a terrible thing to have to go through.
Right. So. I find that I had juice with ginger and with pineapple, and that helps my inflammation a lot. But then in the same time, I was juicing with vegetables and fruits that my blood sugar levels were going high. So it's like, okay, I have to, watch that and what doesn't have so much sugar. And I had to try to eliminate the pineapple, but then that helps with the inflammation. So, it's hard. It's hard living like that. But
you have to just find some balance, and it's not easy. It's not easy.
Right.
I want to really, really thank you for calling in tonight. I really appreciate you participating in the conversation. We could take a commercial break. We'll be back in just a moment with more of My Rays of Light Radio. Welcome back to the Myraysoflight radio show. I'm your host, Ellen Young. I wanted to thank Marla for calling in tonight. We have another caller on the phone. Robin, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Thank you so much for calling in tonight.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Hanging in.
You know, sometimes that's the best you can do, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Tonight we're talking about lupus, making people aware of it and talking about how it affects us, our loved ones. How long have you had this?
I was officially diagnosed on paper because I got that one last magical blood test for the doctors in 2011, but then I traveled down to the major lupus center in the country at Johns Hopkins, and they believe I've had it since probably the 80s.
Wow.
They did a forensic look at all my medical records, and they were like, no, you've been sick a very long time.
Right.
So it was very interesting. I mean, through the years, I've had many bouts of things, and then in 2011, it was like somebody had thrown gasoline on a forest fire, and pretty much I have been in that perpetual state kind of since. Nothing has quelled it. Nothing has provoked remission. None of the meds have worked. It's just been one kind of major thing after another.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So this disease is very elusive. It can take in some people 7 to 10 years when they're looking for diagnosis.
Right.
So it's a very frightening thing for people because they know that something's wrong, they know they don't feel well, and the medical establishment kind of looks at them like they're a hypochondriac or they're crazy or they're making stuff up because the blood tests and the antibodies don't always cooperate. And so unless you have a very well-trained rheumatologist who understands the disease process and understands it's not just blood tests, they're very not wanting to make the diagnosis. They also don't want to make the diagnosis because it's a severe disease, and they really don't want to mislabel somebody because it's not going to go away. It's not going to end.
Right.
It's not going to disappear. Contrary to what some people think, you don't have it anymore if the blood test gets normalized. No, it's there for the rest of your life.
Right. So do you have a strong support system?
I'm married. I have 4 wonderful children. It's hard. They're very good within the constraints that they can be good. My youngest is 14. My oldest is 24. And they are terrific. But I want to encourage them to have their lives. So it's really tough to have a needy mom, and especially a mom who I worked full-time. I was the PTA mom. I was the lacrosse mom. I was the football mom. I was running around like a crazy person. And then I started to get sick in 2010, and literally the rug came right out from under me, and literally the world stopped. And then I'm married to in fact, tomorrow is my 25th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I am married to an incredible man who is, by training, a police officer who is incredibly stoic, and who this disease is an absolute horror for him because he can't fix it. So it creates distance. He's supportive. He's there, if I need him to take me somewhere, if I need to go to the doctor, if I need a prescription picked up. But it certainly bashes the hell out of intimacy. It's tough on a marriage. And we work on it on a daily basis, and we speak about it because it's hard. It is it's devastating because I'm certainly not the lady I was when he married me 25 years ago. I mean, no marriage is like that, but it's, when you have a chronic disease, it's like he doesn't know who he's waking up to in the morning. Can I get out of bed today? Can I breathe today? Can I move today? And none of which he can fix, so it's hard.
Exactly. It certainly does challenge any relationship, because, like you said, a lot of men want to fix whatever it is that's wrong.
Yeah.
They love you. They want to be able to fix it. They feel like that's what they're supposed to do. And whenever you're dealing with something like this, it's almost like grasping at air, and it can be challenging because for so many reasons, it can be challenging.
Absolutely.
The swelling, the joints, the rashes, the strokes, just different things that have happened to me that have just been like, for a while it seemed like it was just one obstacle after another. Very thankful because he is amazing. He truly is. Everyone isn't quite as lucky as that, and I was explaining to Marla a few minutes ago that I've heard, so many women talk about their husbands left them or their boyfriends
the affairs
left them.
and they leave them and they can't stand it. I mean, I've never felt that. I mean, my husband has always been by my side, but it's very hard. It's and now we've kind of evolved into kind of a worser place in the lupus guideline. In the years since I've been treated, I've picked up a nasty fungal infection, and I've picked up a cytomegalovirus infection. So I am on my last immunosuppressant. In fact, most rheumatologists don't even want to give me one, but they're trying to buy me some time with the lupus, and we're kind of in a balancing act, but my gut has decided to shut itself off on its own every once in a while, and my lungs are shot, and my brain, I've had 2 strokes, and the area right above my brainstem is slowly being destroyed. So the last kind of hospitalization, the doctor sat us down and said, this is the brass tacks. There's no expiration date, but sooner as opposed to later, and, you better put your things in order because you're not going into remission. You haven't gone into remission. We can't give you any of these wonderful new drugs or even experimental drugs that are out because they all suppress the immune system, and if we do that, one of these bugs is going to get you. So pick your poison, either an infection, you stop breathing, or the lupus. Pick your one. So I'm kind of like shooting a line through a needle hole and trying to stay stable on huge doses of steroids, which are a whole other show on its own as far as treating lupus.
Right.
And it's, so it's kind of evolved our relationship a little further because it's kind of forced conversations that if he wasn't ready to have, we have to have with 4 kids and a home and all those things, and which is, I mean, if there's a silver lining in this, I call it my crumb. He kind of gives me a crumb of emotion a little more every day, which has been a blessing because it's wonderful. We've kind of developed kind of a new form of intimacy, which is terrific, and then it also is it's very freeing as a person because I don't have to care anymore about people pollution and the nonsense, and I can say what I feel, and I can say to people, hey, lupus is, they talk about lupus being, it goes the gamut. It goes from somebody who can live a very healthy life and have a very normal life expectancy to somebody who can be dead within 5 years. And it can affect from babies to 90-year-olds. And it's one of those diseases that doesn't pigeonhole. It can affect men and women. And I think that's the thing that frightens people the most, because there's so much and there's so many that they kind of just don't even know where to put their head, and don't know where to kind of sign up and say, oh, okay. And besides, I mean, as I get sicker, I've dropped 50 pounds. I look terrific. Somebody said to me the other day, they saw me, and they said, oh, my God, you look wonderful. And I just smiled and said, I've learned to say thank you. Because what am I going to say anymore? My cheeks are rosy. Yeah, I'm flushed because I'm running a constant low-grade fever. I lost, all this weight because I can't digest anything, but I look great. My insides are rotten. And what do you just laugh and I smile. I've learned to, thank you very much, and I'm sorry, but I can't. Those are my two things that I've learned to kind of balance my perspective. And then to physicians who have no clue, I look at them and say, when they tell me, but I'm a doctor, I look at them and say, I'm sure your parents are very proud of you. And those are the three expressions that have gotten me through lupus. Because you have to. You got to balance this out because it's crazy. And that's the thing, trying to make people aware that the research isn't out there. I mean, this, the hoop and the fanfare about this brand new drug, Benelista. Yeah, it works on 3% of lupus patients.
Right.
But they pushed it out there.
Yes, they did.
It doesn't do any good for most people.
Right.
And I mean, and God bless the people it does. I mean, the 3%, let them please heal, feel better, move on, be happy, be healthy. I wish for the best. I wish everybody a cure for every disease. I mean, and it's and then people say, well, my disease, and then you get my disease is better than your disease. People.
Yeah.
Please.
Bless them. I really wanted to thank you for being on the show for tonight. It's just such a vast topic. It's so important to create awareness for people that may have only heard of it and not really sure how it affects them. The possibility of it affecting someone that they know is so possible right now that I just think it's very important that we make everyone aware that this disease is damaging. It's even though they don't consider it a terminal illness, people die from this, or the complications of it.
Yes.
And it's very important that we create awareness for it, and also to let the people that love us know that we appreciate the fact that they are doing the very best that they can. It's a situation that takes a lot of patience, love, care, concern. It's a struggle. It is a struggle. I appreciate you calling in tonight. I really wish nothing but the best for you. I really do. I have to take a brief commercial. We'll be back in just a moment with more My Rays of Light Radio.
A picture is worth 1,000 words. A portrait is priceless. This Father's Day, give him something that he will treasure for years to come. Thou Art, in conjunction with My Rays of Light, is offering an 11 by 14 canvas portrait of your loved ones for only $40. Make every moment count and allow Thou Art to help you. Feel free to contact us at myraysoflight@hotmail.com or at www.myraysoflight.com for more information.
Welcome back to the My Rays of Light radio show. I'm your host, Ellen Young. Tonight we've been talking about lupus awareness, how lupus affects people that have been diagnosed with the disease, their families, their loved ones, and just basically trying to create awareness on a disease that you don't hear a lot of information about. I think it maybe a month or two ago, I came into contact with someone who is doing such a fabulous thing. She's a runner, and she's going to run in the New York City Marathon, and she's collecting money for autism, lupus, and CHARD syndrome. I'm really happy to introduce to you all Delma Carlton. Delma, are you there?
I am.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, good. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm not a runner like that. I wish I could run like that, but I think that what you're doing is fabulous. What gave you the idea?
Well, actually, last year I decided to run the New York City Marathon for this year. And running is just, something that I love to do, and this is actually my first marathon. And the night before I registered for the race, I sat down thinking, how can I make this race, something positive? Because, yes, it's my first. Yes, I'll be getting this fabulous medal and everything which comes with it, but it's where I really did not, want it to be just another race. I wanted, to make it something positive. So I decided, to find different charities that I could do some fundraiser and just donate the money to. Before, the past couple of years, I've done breast cancer walks and, raised tons of money towards that, and I wanted to do something different. However, one of my really, a good friend of mine, she has lupus, and this is somebody that I see suffer, battle with this every day. And before I met her, I knew about lupus, but I was not that, aware of everything which comes with it. Like a few minutes ago before I got on the line with you, I was just talking to her, and she was sitting on the couch, and she said to me, "Oh, my God, I can't get up. Everything hurts." And I'm like, but it's just, being around her daily, I see her struggle. So I'm like, that'll be, a cool foundation, just to raise some funds and, donate some money to, and just to bring awareness to people, basically.
It's such a good thing, and I completely related what you just said, because sometimes if I'm sitting too long, there's difficulty in just getting up, just standing. Standing can become a very big chore. It's the marathon is in November, correct?
Yes, it is, November 2nd.
So you have a crowdfund site that you're using to try to collect some money?
Yes, I do.
Do you have that website?
It's www. Because it's basically a long website, so I'm just going to give the shorter version. Is www.crowdrise, crowdrise.com/Delma Carlton, DELMACARLTON, and all the info will just pop up.
Definitely, we're going to be sharing this information on the event page, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on the LM Young page. Very important. Lupus is it's a disease that a lot of people aren't aware of. They don't know a lot about it. Very, very thankful for people like you who are, not personally affected by it, but still wanted to do something, and your friend is very lucky to have you in her corner. It can be a very lonely place to be. I hope that a lot of people go to your CrowdRise site so that they can, donate some money to you for a great cause. All three of the causes are, very important, not just the lupus, but the autism and the CHARGE syndrome, which I wasn't really familiar with CHARGE syndrome. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I actually was not familiar with it until a few months ago. I think it was late last year. I came across this group on Facebook called I Run For, and basically what it is, they pair different runners with various kids with different disabilities. And it's a rather long waiting list. Like when I started, I was, I think, like number 2,000 and something. And eventually, they would pair you up with, like I said, with different kids. And I was paired with this little boy. He's 11 years old. His name is Andrew from South Carolina. And, his mom reached out to me, and we started talking, and she basically told me what CHARGE is. And it's like, it's a very interesting and complicated disease. It affects different parts of the body. It basically could cause deafness, different abnormalities, just with growth, like, retardation of the growth, heart defects, and the eyes, and just a lot of different issues. So basically, just in talking with her, I'm like, well, why not just raise some funds towards that foundation also and create some awareness to it. And Andrew is my running buddy. So basically every single race that I run, I dedicate it to Andrew. So with this marathon, actually mile 11 is dedicated to him. Like all my half marathons I do, mile 11 is dedicated to him because he's 11 years old. So this is also, creating awareness of another sickness out there to, for people to just be aware of it.
Absolutely. That's a great thing. That's a great thing. What was the name of that Facebook group? Is I Run For?
Yes. It has. It's I Run For something, but I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. It's like way past my bedtime now, so my mind is just like totally slowing down. Let me see if I could pull it up. Give me 1 second.
Sure. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that I have already posted about the CrowdRise fundraiser site that Delma is involved with on the event page for My Rays of Light Radio. I will also be posting that on our group page, which is My Rays of Light Radio, and the LM Young Facebook, so that anyone that wants to help, and we would really appreciate any donations you could possibly give. This is a great opportunity for us to be able to step up and help others. And so I would encourage any and all of you that are listening to get involved. Get involved. There are people that are in need. There are people that are just looking for someone to help give them hope. And people like Delma Carlton are doing exactly that. They are giving back. And by giving back to people, you're lifting them up. And that is exactly what we are supposed to be doing in this life. So I hope that each and every one of you are able to, at least say something to her on Facebook. She's on Facebook. Say something to her on Facebook. Encourage her if she can't donate. But if you have the means to donate, please do. It's such a worthy cause.
Thank you so much. Actually, I found a group. It's called I Run For Michael. And if you're a runner, they basically just pair you up with, just different kids out there. A lot of people say, well, I'm not a runner. My thing is if you could get up your couch and you could run for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you're basically a runner. So, just go out there and just do something. It really encourages, the kids and lift them up because many times, like we go through a day and we're just like so tired and just so bogged down with the things of life and we're like so stressed out. But if you look at it, there are people out there, who got it worse than us. Because, the moms with kids with lupus, with autism, with CHARGE, it's like they got to deal with this every single day, watch their baby suffer, and there's nothing they could do about it. But we who could do something, let's just do something. Because for me personally, I don't know what it's like, to wake up every morning and be in pain, but I know what it's like to run. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to run 26 miles and raise the money and, just help somebody, because that's what life is about, basically.
Exactly. Could not agree more. Delma, I want to thank you for being on the show with me tonight. Really, you are a treasure. I have to tell you, you are a complete treasure.
Thank you.
The thing that you're doing is so beautiful. You're an angel to these children. You really are.
Thank you so much.
Really, really. I want to thank you for being on this show, and I'll talk to you again really soon.
Okay.
We are going to take a brief commercial break, and we're back with more My Rays of Light Radio. Welcome back to the My Rays of Light radio show. I'm your host, Ellen Young. Tonight we've been talking about lupus awareness. We've had several callers who spoke to Marla and to Robin about their journeys with lupus and how serious it can actually get. We also spoke to Delma Carlton, who is running the New York City Marathon in November to raise money for lupus, autism, and CHARD syndrome. She has a Proud Rise website, which is trying to raise the money, and that website is www.proudrise.com/Delma Carlton. I'm going to make sure that gets posted on the LM Young Facebook page, on Twitter, under Light Rays 1, and also on our Rays of Light radio group page on Facebook. We encourage any and all of you to contact us with anything that you have going on, any questions you might have, any show ideas or suggestions. We love to hear from you. We're very active in social media, so we want you to feel free to contact us about anything that you have on your mind, on your heart, and your soul. We're very interested in hearing from you. I think we have another caller on the line. Nadia, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's
I'm
good.
pretty good. We've been talking about lupus tonight. You know, lupus is something that you sort of just never get used to. You just don't ever get used to it. And the thing and this is only for me, I'm only speaking for myself, is that I found that whenever I started reaching out to other people, that I concentrated less on my illness. You know, I would forget that I was in pain. You know, these things sort of just, I won't say that they went away, but I will say that they became less important to me. You know, whenever I was able to extend myself, when I was able to let go of my pain, when I was able to let go of my pain, not that it wasn't there still, but you know, I'm sure we've all been through it where we've had an ache or a pain, and if we're concentrating on it, it's almost like we're holding on to it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I would think that if you concentrated on it, it would seem more amplified.
Right.
So I can completely understand that, and I guess a lot of people who are not going through it, it's an amazing situation. Anyone who can imagine what anyone with lupus might be going through, knowing their minor problems, you know,
right.
it is amazing to see how strong anyone has become from going through it. And then continue through, you know, through your daily life. It's very close to a miracle, you know, knowing, you know, what you're going through medically and how you appear, and, you know.
Right.
I guess my major thoughts on this is, you know, I don't think anyone should have to go through it.
Right.
So, you know, there should be more avenues and maybe more people reaching out to make, you know, the awareness available.
Right. Certainly knowledge is power. I mean, you know, the more you learn about it, the more that it can be a devastating illness. I know lots of people who have suffered through it. I know some people that have passed away because of the complications of lupus. This, like most illnesses, you know, a lot of it is spiritually. If you can heal your spirit, then I believe that we can heal anything. I don't believe that anything is written in stone. I don't think that is not the case for me. I'll say that much. It is not the case for me. You know, I think that we have to be able to know what is the best thing for us. And certainly when it came to me, I mean, I've had days like that where, okay, my hips are hurting so bad, I don't think I can get out of bed. But whenever I have heard of something that someone else is going through, and it may not be someone that I know personally, it could just be a situation in general. Whenever I heard about the girls that were stolen from school in Nigeria, instantly all of my energy, all of my focus went to that situation. Now, I wasn't driving to Nigeria to go do anything. I obviously couldn't do that. But it kept me from thinking about myself. It allowed me to rise above myself and think about someone else. And whenever I extend myself in that way, the fact that my hips were hurting so bad that I didn't want to get out of bed didn't matter to me as much. You know, and that it may not work for everyone, but for me personally, it is a spiritual journey that you sort of have to go through. You know, if you're in that mind state, if you're in the mind state of it, you know, and not everyone is, but for me personally, it definitely. I mean, I've seen miracles happen within myself. You know, I've gone to doctors and who have told me that we see the signs that you've had strokes. It just isn't there anymore. We don't know why. You know, these things, it can be considered nothing less than a miracle. I just consider it, you know, a blessing. You know, so I think that with all things, if you have your soul intact, if you connected spiritually, you know, then I think that we all have a way of healing ourselves. You know, and it may not be a popular belief for most people, but it definitely is mine.
Right, I agree. There's, I don't know, I was thinking of possible ways to help, and, you know, a support group I'm thinking might be a good thing as far as information as well, because, you know, I was listening to one of the previous callers, and she mentioned that she had lupus before she was diagnosed, you know, and you can possibly have it even and not even know it. So, you know, I'm sure there are plenty more people out there that possibly has it and have no idea what's wrong with them. And the first step, I think, for them to heal is to at least see what the issue is, diagnose, see what the problem is, and then you can attack, you know, and come up with a game plan. This is what I'm going to do. You know, I can use holistic methods, or I can go to Western medicine, or, you know, whatever your beliefs are in how you're going to handle it, but at least they know, you know.
Exactly.
So, and that was it was a great idea. I was also thinking about, you know, ways of, you know, getting more money up, you know, for research, because obviously there's not enough. You know, if it's not being done, you know, let's move forward and see how it can be, you know, implemented, because it seems like the numbers of people affected are growing.
Exactly. And even more holistic medicine, because like Robin was telling us earlier, Benelista was a drug they pushed through. I remember when it came out, you know, a couple of years ago, they pushed it through, and she's right. It only helps 3% of the people, because they almost ran it through the trials through the FDA. I was amazed that it even got approved. But if there is a medication that will help you have to buy a prescription for, then there has to be a natural method of healing it. Because you and I both know that all prescription drugs come from herbs.
Exactly.
They're all based on something natural. You know, we've talked about this a million times. So if there is a natural way of doing it, that would be my preference. Why add anything to it? Everything and anything that we need to survive comes right through the earth.
Exactly.
And that's the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be that way. So hopefully, we can find a way of curing these illnesses that they say there are no cures for, and we can, because, look how expensive prescription drugs are. Our first caller, Marla, was telling us that she can't afford the medication. It's too expensive, and a lot of people are in that position where they've had to they've lost their jobs because something like lupus, it's disabling, can be. You lose your form of income, then what are you supposed to do?
Right.
So these pharmaceutical companies make so much money off of these drugs, and we both know that all of the drugs are based off of herbs. They've added salts to them or this to them or that to them, but I believe that there is a holistic cure for all that ails us. So in my opinion,
and it might actually be more effective.
Exactly. So it would just be healthier for us all the way around. So just my opinion, guys.
Exactly.
We're going to take another brief commercial break. We'll be back in just a moment with more My Rays of Light Radio. Welcome back to the My Rays of Light radio show. I'm your host, Ellen Young. I want to thank all of my callers tonight. It's really important when we're talking about a subject as serious as lupus that we are able to connect in this way and talk about it freely, non-judgmentally, and understand that we are walking this earth together. It's very important that we understand that the purpose of us being here and even the trials and tribulations that we have to go through are to lead us to the very next place in our lives. Any obstacles that we come across or are coming toward or any of these things, they're going to lead us to the next place, the next point, the next place of elevation. If you survive something, you are supposed to learn from it and teach from it. That is the whole point and purpose of what we're trying to do here. It is not to sit around so we can feel bad about lupus or MS or divorce or abuse or any of these things. The whole purpose of this is to take the information that we have, grow from it, and that would be the point. The whole purpose of us being here on this big, beautiful planet is to love and embrace one another. Hopefully we can learn from one another and then we can reach out to one another so that none of us feel like we are alone. We should never feel like we are alone. You aren't. You are never alone. You have to reach out just for that person on the telephone, that Facebook connection, that Twitter connection. Do that. Make that connection. It is important that we are embracing all of these tender hearts because for so long they have been stomped on and crushed. It's time to start rebuilding. And My Rays of Light Radio is about that. We want to rebuild We want to help one another come together in love and peace, understanding, with compassion and empathy. It's very important to us. Like I said earlier, I welcome your show suggestions. Any feedback you might want to give to us, I welcome that as well. Join the group on Facebook, My Rays of Light Radio. We would love to have you. I wrote a poem about lupus a while back, and I wanted to share it with you tonight in closing. It's called I Have Lupus. I live with an illness other people cannot see. I live in pain and fatigue, often immobility. I live with an illness some people cannot understand because it cannot be detected by the casual glance. I live with swollen joints, bruising but first. I live with the knowledge that it can get much worse. My hair has fallen out, my eyes swollen shut, but I live with a disease that doesn't understand enough. I am not alone in this fight. There are warriors like me who understand what it's like to have physical agony. I am a fighter now. I am a warrior because if I stopped fighting, gave it a pause, this disease would win. My valiance or not. I am in this war. I never forgot this. And greatness is in me. I will struggle with this thing no matter what shall be. For the winner of this battle gets no trophy or attention, for I fight it inside myself with the greatest intention. Take no moment for granted, for in a moment of dissension, it could all be stripped away without even a mention of the facial rashes, medication and grief, the lack of support, the need for sleep. While it is hard to understand what my life would be like for you, I will tell all now that I wouldn't want you to suffer too. Help raise awareness. Look for the light. God said he would never leave. I know he is right. Join the movement. Raise mental elevation. Link hands with others. Focus your attention. I have a silent disease that you cannot see, but I have lupus. It doesn't have me. Until next Tuesday, I wish you a week filled with light and love. My name is Ellen Young, and these are my rays of light.